Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, we have an update on a certain WWE departure. We have rumours of an AEW much-missed tag team potentially returning. From there, we're going to talk the recently drafted WWE star that creative has no plans for. And finally, you don't have to like the booking, but AEW All In is massive. I'm Andy, this is Mike Raffone from WhatCulture, and this is the news. Flying solo, well, 1.5. I don't know what you classify this loser as, but well, there he goes. We're going to kick this thing off by talking about the guy over my shoulder, passing judgment in his purple light, Edge. He's been the talk of the town recently. Of course, on SmackDown, he wrestled what was revealed prior to the match as the last bout on his WWE contract. Sheamus, SmackDown, great match, fantastic stuff across the board. And apparently that was that, at least for now, when it comes to Edge. Now, he did reveal after the show, in another media appearance, that his contract with WWE, even though that was the last match, his contract expires in late September, so he'll be obligated and attached to that company for a while. Probably prevents him from showing up elsewhere. Fantasy booking, all of that stuff. Now, we have a couple of updates on the situation from different sources. The first one's from WrestleVotes, who tweeted over the weekend, "I asked if anything had changed post-show regarding the status of the Edge going forward. A source said he hasn't signed a new deal as of now, and the feeling among creative and others is of the unknown. The ball is truly in his court." So, sounds like one of two scenarios. Either Edge hasn't decided what he wants to do yet, which would be consistent with what he's said in interviews and stuff, but wrestlers always be working and you can't really take that stuff at face value all the time. Or maybe he has made up his mind and he just hasn't informed WWE yet. Who the heck knows? We will find out in time. Now, Fightful Select have another update on this situation, stating, we're going to talk about the AEW rumors here because it's inevitable. It's how competition works. It's a good thing. Apparently, people within AEW think that Edge jumping ship and going over there for a bit is a distinct possibility. A real possibility is the exact phrasing used here. People claim, earlier this year, people inside AEW claimed that the prospect wasn't as out there as many would have thought, and that people within AEW were actually discussing the prospect of Edge going over there before the Sheamus match. Fightful have been unable to confirm if Edge's contract actually does expire in late September. Again, we gotta take everything a wrestler says in media interviews with a pinch of salt. But company sources have indicated that the former world champion did have time added on due to injury. He had that horrible injury during the Randy Orton feud. And it should be noted as well that WWE has actually been a lot quieter when it comes to contract stuff, not letting a lot of things get out there. So it could be that something has happened and maybe the world just hasn't heard about it yet. I'm sure a Fightful or a PW insider will come through when that stuff does start doing the rounds. But for now, the waiting game continues. Lots of very interesting possibilities on the table for this man. He's a very big name in the world of wrestling. I think, for me, if I was a guessing man, I would say he either retires or sticks with WWE for like another year or something like that. I would be surprised if he went to AEW, but it would be cool to see him just riding somewhere else. It's nice seeing people jump around, and him and Christian together one more time, just even if it's just like one match or something. That'd be sick. You want to see that, and so do I. But let us know down in the comment section what you think about Edge's situation. Where is he going to go? Where do you want to see him go? Do you want to see him jump ship? Do you want to see him stay put? Do you want to see him retire, you big meanie? Let us know. All possibilities, and I'll have a little bit more on Edge in the question section of this video after the stories. Right, we're going to move over to AEW, Santana and Ortiz. A few weeks ago, there were some rumors going around all over the place on socials that Santana and Ortiz had mended fences. They were back on the same page. They were friends again, which was nice to hear. Even though, you know, it's a rumor, it's speculation. I don't think like a Sean Ross Sapp or Mike Johnson or Dave Meltzer touched this, so I didn't put too much into it. But they fell out, of course, behind the scenes in AEW in 2022. That was reported by Conan, first of all, and has since been corroborated. It explained why they were barely wrestling tag team matches at the start of that year. And then, of course, Santana tore his bloody ACL in blood and guts, and he's been out for over a year, and He's no longer friends with Ortiz, and they've been tag teaming since 2011. It was just sad. It was a sucky year if you're a fan of those guys, and I'm a big fan of those guys. But we've got some good and bad news here. The good news, Fightful Select reporting that Santana has been cleared to return. Yay, that's awesome, because ACL tears are garbage. He's been out for over a year. I'm sure a very tough rehabilitation process, but he's coming back. He's cleared to go. He has been posting these little teasers on social media, so you can check those out. They're very well done. I'm looking forward to seeing him back in action. However, Fightful sources have indicated that Santana and Ortiz, and I quote, were still not on good terms at the time Santana was cleared to return. So that's a shame. Just proves those rumors were unfounded, pretty much. It's noted that it's not impossible that they could work together again in the future. I mean, time can heal a lot of things. Maybe they will be able to find that common ground once again, but apparently at the time of Santana being cleared, that hadn't happened. So there you go. There is a bit of talk of Ortiz appearing at All In as well. Apparently he has cancelled a Limitless Wrestling appearance due to AEW obligations. We'll wait and see if anything comes of that. But look, I'm a huge fan of Santana and Ortiz. I love the chaos they bring. I love them individually as well. I would love to see them back in action together. But personal situations are deep-rooted and complex, and we don't know anything about what happened between them to maybe pull them apart. So I respect whatever happens with these two guys, and I look forward to following their careers regardless. Shout outs to both of them. Looking forward to seeing Santana back in action. It would be nice to see Ortiz on TV a little bit more often as well, AEW. Come on, hook me up. Anyway, let's move over to the WWE Raw star that the company has no creative plans for, despite drafting him to the brand like 3 months ago. I'm talking about Odyssey Jones. He was drafted to Raw. I think it was during Raw Talk on the 1st of May. It was like one of the supplemental picks, but he was called up from NXT, and he's not wrestled on Raw since then. In fact, he's not wrestled on TV since like a match with Dijak on NXT in April. Since then, he's done an NXT house show, and he's done 4 SmackDown dark matches. Okay, Raw wrestler, never mind. Called up, not appearing on TV. It's a weird situation with Odyssey Jones, but this report comes from Fightful, and they state that creative haven't drawn up any significant plans at all for Mr. Jones, and there is currently no word on why they called him up from NXT, sent him to Raw, and then did nothing with it. Weird situation this. He's been with WWE since like 2019. I think he debuted in the ring towards the back end of that year. He broke, I'll have to read this because I have no idea what it means. He broke the Performance Center's trap bar deadlift record. 800 pounds this man can lift. That's insane. Very strong individual. Obviously, Odyssey had a very serious injury shortly after debuting on TV as well, but he's been back for ages. So yeah, I mean, I don't fully understand the logic behind calling someone up and then not using them. What is the purpose of moving brands and where they were on TV and then put them to another one, and you're not gonna... It's all very confusing and shows there's probably still a bit of a disconnect between NXT and the main roster. Okay, sure, figure something out, you silly sausages. This is weird. Now let's give an update on All In, ticket sales, all of that stuff, records, blah, 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 blah. Business talk, business talk, business talk. We have the latest update through from WrestleTix on All In's ticket sales, and we wouldn't usually do so many of these, but because All In is on the verge of becoming a historic show, we're going to talk about it. AEW has distributed 81,405 tickets for this show. That means that about 4,000 remain. The arena, Wembley, has been calibrated, not collaborated, for about 85,000 seats overall. So if it reaches that mark, it would be deemed a sellout, but 4,000 in a week, that's going to be quite tough unless TV is absolutely rocking this week. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If all of those people who've got tickets so far attend, All In will be the best attended wrestling event in history that has sold tickets. There's a caveat here. Collision in Korea, the New Japan WCW crossover, April 1995. That was held in Pyongyang, North Korea over 2 nights. A combined 355,000 people attended those shows. But circumstances surrounding that show are a little bit different, and people have alleged that was like a forced attendance type deal. So it's not the same, they didn't sell tickets, blah, 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 blah. So it doesn't count. It's usually excluded from these conversations. The current high mark is WrestleMania 32. According to the Arlington Police Department, as sourced by Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, 80,709 people passed through the turnstiles for WrestleMania 32. So, if 80,710 people passed through the turnstiles for All In, it's the best attended wrestling show of all time. And yeah, they could reasonably call it, what's the phrasing they're using? The biggest event in wrestling history, right? We probably won't know that exact count until afterwards, but hey, that's how many tickets have been distributed. Obviously, some of those will be comps, but in terms of attendance, there you go. Now, WWE famously inflates ticket numbers like most wrestling companies, to be fair. It's not just them, everyone does it, apart from AEW, apparently. Who the heck knows? They reckon, they announced 101,000 attended WrestleMania 32. That's not even remotely the case. Vince McMahon himself has since conceded that it was nowhere near that number, and that they included ushers and ticket takers and a bunch of other people in this inflated figure. I would much rather go by a police department's record of this, because they'll need it for safety and security and stuff, than the companies. So we'll see how it pans out, but they're legitimately on the verge of history here. You can say what you want about the creative for the show. Business-wise, it's a smash hit, and I think those creative concerns are valid, by the way. I'm not dismissing them. You just can't argue with the business success, baby, although I'm sure someone will try and find a way to do that. Let's move over to today's questions, and we are going to start with Edge. Why did I shout there? I'm very sorry, viewers. I'm sorry for your ears, like I'm sorry for my satellite dishes. Batman has been on Twitter today. Thank you, Batman. If this was Edge's last match, are you okay with it, or should his retirement match happen at WrestleMania or in AEW? So, there's a lot to unpack here. I thought the Sheamus match was excellent, and I think Sheamus was a fitting opponent. When Edge explained the circumstances, we're like really good friends, but we've never had a singles match. That's cool. That's a cool way to give a guy like a personal treat, almost, a significant moment like that on his way out of the company. And I think that if Edge is going to have a retirement match, yeah, WWE is the most appropriate venue for that, because that's been his home forever. It's what you think of when you think of Edge. He's not really done anything anywhere else, at least nowhere near on this level. Like, I haven't looked through his cage match profile or anything to look at his old indie appearances before WWE, but he's a WWE guy. It makes sense, and WrestleMania would make sense as a stage. I will say that I was quite taken aback by the lack of WWE generated hype for this match. Going into it, it just kind of felt like a match, which was a bit weird. That leads me to believe that they don't think it was his last match, because if they did, they'd have hyped it up and sold it and promoted it and promoted it and promoted it and beaten you over the head with really awesome video packages and everything else. So it could have played out a little bit different. So my answer is that I'm reasonably happy with it. I think the circumstances could have been a little bit better, but it was a phenomenal match, and if that's his last one, it's a fitting one to go out on. With regards to AEW, yeah, I do want to see him and Christian do something together again. But again, I do feel like WWE is the best place for him. It's his legacy. It's where he belongs. Be cool to see Sexton Hardcastle riding through Wembley, though. I'm not gonna lie, even though that's contractually impossible. But anyway, Ed Pogue has been on. Thank you, Ed, for sending your question, asking, since there are 3 empty slots on the Blackpool Combat Club's team at All In, who would you like to see fill them? My answer is really simple. I would like to see Jon Moxley go, hey, we got 3 spots. I'm bringing in 3 big, hard lads from New Japan Pro Wrestling who just happened to be wrestling for Rev Pro the night before, so they're in the country, which means you don't have to pay for their flights, presumably. You can just book them. Shingo Takagi, Katsuyori Shibata, and Tomohiro Ishii. Now, storyline-wise, that makes no sense whatsoever, because Ishii is a chaos guy, and so are best friends in Orange Cassidy, so there's a problem there. However, if you can't do that, if you don't want to do that storyline kerfuffle, it's just what I'd like to see, because Ishii's the best. You could just swap Big Tom out for Shooter Umino. He's not in the UK for that show, I don't think, but you could bring him over. He's got the Moxley connection. He's his young boy, or was his young boy, all that stuff. Shota makes a lot of sense. Final question of the day comes from Will Farmer, who would like to know, hello brother, with all the divisiveness of CM Punk at the moment and his backstage performances, do you think he's getting towards Hulk Hogan in levels of politics? So, it's a comparison a bunch of people have drawn. I think CM Punk is aware of it. If he wasn't aware of it, he wouldn't be doing leg drops and cupping the ear and stuff in the occasional collision match. He's having fun with this stuff. He understands the game and what comes with it. Yeah, I mean, he's been doing a bunch of backstage politicking and stuff, but I think Hulk Hogan is a high comparison. Hulk Hogan did this for decades. Hulk Hogan is partly responsible for killing a wrestling company. He's not the only person responsible for what happened to WCW, but his politicking certainly didn't help. He politicked in WWE. How many times did he say that doesn't work for me, brother, and ruined big events? He went over to TNA and he was rubbish there as well. So I think that you kind of need CM Punk to have that kind of destructive record before we consider them on the same level. I don't think CM Punk's even on the same level as Shawn Michaels in the 90s. So, but it is notable, and I think it's been a bit of an eye-opener for a lot of people, maybe newer wrestling fans, younger wrestling fans. AEW for a long time was like the land of rainbows and butterflies and meadows and nothing bad happens here, blah, 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 blah. Nothing gets out from the backstage area. Well, that period is over. Now it's a wrestling ass promotion. And what I mean when I say that is that this is the way every wrestling promotion in the history of the universe has been. This is how wrestling works. It's been this way since day one, and it will continue to be this way forever, for better or for worse. Top stars get what they want. Top stars who draw money and attract attention to their promotion get the ability to hire back a weird little guy who allegedly bit another guy's arm in a backstage fight. It's just how it works. Hogan and Michaels are prime examples. This stuff is probably happening in WWE as well, maybe not to the same extent. You just don't hear about it because it doesn't get out as much. But you could even look to Roman Reigns having the power to decide who and when he's going to drop the world title to. That's politicking as well, baby. Admittedly, Roman Reigns isn't brawling with people backstage, but hey, there you go. Look, this is what pro wrestling is. It's in its DNA. It's how it works. It's how it's always been. I know it's been an eye-opener for a lot of people, this CM Punk situation. And yeah, he's definitely, like, one of the premium guys who has these reports come out about him. It's pro wrestling. This is how it goes. It's part of the chaos. For me, part of the fun. Maybe not so fun if you work there, perhaps, but I don't. So, hey, there you go. I work here. I make videos like this one. It's on your screen right now. See you later. Bye. Thanks. Peace.